And welcome back to MSI 2021. Whoa, I was told we were dropping in hot. This is lava level. We've gone to the volcano in Iceland for a moment here. We are 3 bans in on either side. C9 on the blue, RNG on the red. Lucian, Varus, Thresh removed, Renekton, Morgana, Udyr removed, Rumble and Lee Sin. The main picks that I see are still open.
Fudge Lee Sin, he had a great performance on it earlier in the Rumble stage. Looks like he's going to have another opportunity to do the same thing again. RNG. I imagine that they will go for the Rumble. Remember that their Rumble-Lucian duo is up and available, but that tempting Kai'Sa Nautilus also up for grabs. The question is, what will RNG prioritize? Looks like for now, they're going to get themselves the Rumble, and I imagine they will pair this either with the Kai'Sa or they will pair it with the Lucian. Depends on, I wonder how Xiao feels about the Lucian into Lee Sin matchup. I could see it being quite good for Lucian for a while, but it probably gets to a point where it's not that good anymore. I mean, he's just hovering champions now, isn't he? Like, there's no way
just messing with you. You never talk about hovers, Vedi.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's just hovering champions right now.
Looks like it's going to be Nautilus first here, not opting for the Kai'Sa. Instead saying, well, we prefer having Nautilus for Ming, which makes a lot of sense. Now C9 have a few options. You go pick your bot lane. That's usually what we see here. Or you can pick a jungler and your AD carry, which is also an option.
Senna is available. They're going to take the Kai'Sa away from RNG, and they're going to do Leona themselves. I like this. I like this adaptation. I think that Kai'Sa can work quite nicely with the Leona, especially with Hail of Blades in the 2 versus 2. The question is, where will RNG go from here now? They don't have to lock in their AD carry if they don't want to. We talked a little bit about Zion Nautilus last game. Of course, still decent. Yeah. Still a lot of engage tools, but I think that just because of the Leona, I think that in the early game, Kai'Sa Leona can be very strong in this 2 versus 2.
Definitely agree with you there, Vedi. If you get enough time to put the plasma stacks down, Kai'Sa does a huge amount of damage early on, and of course Leona can lock someone down long enough for you to do it.
It's the feathers you got to be careful of in that 2 versus 2. Regardless, we'll get to watch that a little bit later. Top lane locked in for C9 and jungle locked in for RNG. So you imagine, excuse me, that we'll see a lot of the bans that we've been seeing so far. So Nocturne, Set as potential answers to the Lee Sin. Alternatively, it looks like RNG are going to ban out some of these other AP junglers, things like the Nidalee. You imagine that Olaf could also be a consideration. Maybe even the Lilia, if they wanted to remove all possible AP junglers from the pool.
With the Gnar ban, it means that either Set or Nocturne will be left open for Xiaohu if he wants to take that towards the top lane. Of course, into the Lee Sin can be good. Can't overlook the fact that the Lee Sin could go mid. Perks could always take it down. We could see C9 flexing that one. And
it's harder to flex it on blue side, of course, because you likely won't know what you're playing into.
You can still get counter-picked with that final pick on red. And there's the Olaf ban that you talked about, Vedius.
All right, well, we saw Lilia earlier in the day.
We did.
But we're still kind of getting to the area of what are the junglers left? Potentially a Volibear. Always an option.
Just trying to, like, Blabber has a lot of Lilia games. Like, he's very comfortable.
I mean, he played a lot of champions during the regular season, right?
Talia also on the list, but of course not very strong anymore out of the jungle. But, still a bunch of different options for C9 in that jungle role. Of course, could always bring the Kindred back out, but wouldn't give you that mixed damage profile that you're kind of looking for. Jace will be locked in for the top lane into Fudge. Now, this was the matchup that he played when he popped off on the Lee Sin. It was into Khan instead of into Xiaohu, and he did fall behind in the early game. Khan was able to get 3 plates and get himself, I think it was about a 15 to 20 CS lead as well, but Fudge found a few good skirmishes, a few good fights, and really popped off when it came down to the 5v5.
I was just thinking Zoe would be a good answer here, I think, for Perks. Blind pick mid lane generally gets you priority in the lane. There aren't that many mid laners in the current meta, Orianna being one of them perhaps, that can actually get prio against. You could do something like a Syndra, maybe. But I think that so far C9 have frontline, they have options in a side lane, and they have a little bit more of an engage tool. So I think that Zoe plus Volibear is a pretty effective mid-jungle duo. largely because you have that initial setup, especially when playing against a Twisted Fate. But of course, TF Rumble, no slouches either, right? Yep. It's primarily because with Volleybet, you have the stun, which makes it easy then to guarantee the bubble, versus Twisted Fate, who has the stun, which then guarantees the Rumble damage. So it very much comes down to who stuns who first. But that's a matter of whether or not we will see that mid-jungle duo come into fruition. But
Benny, have you watched any Cloud9 play throughout this entire tournament? I can promise you we're going to see some mid-jungle early on, perhaps around the level 3, around a Scuttle Crab, perhaps?
Wow, Twisted Fate has a 100% win rate. That might be just because Cryan has played all of the Twisted Fate games so far this tournament, and RNG win a lot. But, okay, well, I think that he is very comfortable on the Twisted Fate. He often picks this matchup. He does lose priority in the mid lane, but I think that I want to see him ult a little bit more than we did earlier in the day. Yeah. He wasn't super proactive with the ultimate, but to be fair, he and Xiaohu generated huge amounts of pressure in the side lane until they inevitably found some of those really good fights. C9, their backs are against the wall. They don't need this win, if I understand correctly, in order to stand a chance. But a win here would be excellent for them.
It really helps keep things a little bit more in their own control. Of course, Mad dropping a game to Darmonkio in the last game helps them out a bit as well, because it means there's still only 2 wins behind Mad Lions, who are sitting at 3 and 4. But Cloud9 have PSG, who are very much on form, Mad Lions and Pentanet left. So they need to find at least 2 wins out of that if they don't manage to take this victory. As we get on to Summoner's Rift for our 3rd game of the day. And I think the thing that I want to talk about a little bit with Cloud9 as we set up is they have looked like a good team at times. Like they've challenged Dam1. They even beat Dam1. In their game against RNG, they got that ace near the mid game that got them back into the game, but it's often just a small error or a small positional mistake or a small macro mistake that is starting to cost them these games. Perks getting caught out. Blabber, obviously the Nidalee Flash for the Scuttle Crab cost them a lot as well. So for a 1-5 team, I think Cloud9 have looked a lot better than their scoreline dictates.
I think that they've had a lot of very good drafts that I think they've been in winning game states, but it's always, there's like a duality in that, they're like, sure, they look better than their score suggests, but
you still got to win.
You have to win because that's all that matters. It's a tournament at the end of the day, right?
100%.
And it's one of those things like, sure, I understand the argument, I understand the perspective, and I also think that it's like a very optimistic way of looking at things, because moving forward, especially in these rematches, it means that there's still a good chance that RNG can take these teams down, because you're like, oh, it was only like 1 mistake or 1 decision or 1 slip up, you know? Like, if they hadn't made that slip up, then they probably could have won. Like, the problem is these teams don't make these slip-ups. Yep. These top teams don't. That's what makes them top teams in the first place, right? And even when they do make mistakes, they find ways to get back into the game. And RNG had a perfect example earlier in the day, right? They were, even though the gold is even, they were behind. They were losing objectives. They were losing control of the map. Yet their clever use of side lane pressure, the way in which they found fights was just so good that they were able to come back. And it's one of those things where Cloud9, yes, they've been close multiple times, and that is very frustrating. And it feels like that there are only a couple things that they need to change in order to actually get those wins, but they actually need to happen. Yep. It's all good in theory, being close, but in practice you need to make those executions perfect in order to take down these top teams. But we'll see if they can do it. So far in the early game, nothing crazy has happened. We're seeing a Volibear full clear top side, but now what is Blabber doing? Because he's not pathing towards the bot side of the map, he's actually looking for a top lane gank. Perks is losing a lot of his HP, but this is definitely a creative path, and they're catching Xiaohu out.
Blabber going in with a Thundering Roar. The damage comes out, and Fudge is on the board. Let the lane push into him. Blabber with a creative path for the first kill of the game.
And he's not going to get punished for it, because his bot lane has the push. That means that there's no risk of Ming or Gala setting up any kind of deep vision. Yes, he's going to be very behind on his clear, but he's trying to be active on the map, and he's looking for another kill in mid.
Cryan has to flash away, but the chase is on. Blabber flashes forward. There's the stun. There's the lockup. And this is the Blabber we saw in the LCS, stepping up now at MSI.
Kill after kill, love the aggression from Blabber. He now has his support to help him get the Scuttle Crab, and yes, he's going to be behind in clear speed, but it doesn't matter. He's getting his team 800 gold in the lead, and he's doing work for his laners.
He's getting the summoners out of these RNG laners as well. Cryan no longer has flash, and Perks can just flash forward, looking for the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, goes a little bit wide, he's stun carded, but here comes Vulcan, and there goes Cryan. Cryin back to the fountain for the second time in 3 minutes.
Fantastic early game from C9. Why would you bother trying to farm on a jungler that's not about farming?
Yep.
He's about ganking, he's about getting in your face, he's about making plays, and Blabber is doing just that. Beautiful stuff from the side of Blabber to get his team an early lead.
No farm, just fight. Usually that's what we say about the LPL, but C9 are bringing the game to them. Fudge able to survive in the top lane, did go very low. Importantly, had just burnt his teleport to get back to the lane, so now is going to lose out on about a wave and a half.
That's bad.
Yep.
That is bad. He does not want to base. You can see he's staying.
He's got
does
the
have
Torrent
sustain
shield
from his W as well. He's just popped a pot. Okay, so what Fudge is doing right now is, hey, Blabber, I know you ganked my lane. I know you got me a kill. Any chance you could come back again and help a brother out? Because I am in danger right now. And he's going to need a little bit of help fixing this wave, especially with how healthy Xiaohu is in that 1v1 matchup. But Blabber, he needs to reset. He is level 5. Even though he is, well, I mean, look, he's done a full clear bot side, and Wei is now on the reset, so he's going to be a little bit ahead in XP because he's now killing, again, the second spawning of his camps. But the fact that Blabber made those ganks work is what's super important. The fact that he was able to find those kills is why, even though he's going to be behind in farm, it doesn't matter. It's going to alleviate a lot of early pressure. They've burnt a lot of early summoner spells, and now I want to see him keep this momentum up, because look at where the wave is in mid. It's kind of frozen, which means that Cryin is forced to overextend. Wei is now pathing immediately up towards the top side, wants to get a little bit more vision, because he knows that if Blabber's going to make a gank, it's going to happen up here. And so he's reading the play, but he didn't actually get that information. The ward will come down. This will spot them out.
Blabber, of course, doesn't have the flash, used it in that mid lane play. Wei's going to try and burn him down with the Flame Spitter and has the Blast Cone to escape if he so desires. Blabber's just waiting in there. Just like, Wei's just like, all right, I'll set up a little microwave for you there if you want. You can burn a little bit, but Blabber just keeping his top laner safe. You said Fudge would be calling for a little bit of help. Blabber was there and he answered the phone call.
Oh, Perkz is really losing out on a lot of these trades. He is not landing those bubbles onto Cryin. I think he's playing a little too aggressively. His HP is suffering as a result. He does, of course, have the Corrupting Pop, but the same can be said for Cryin. It means that Cryin is actually getting prio in this lane, which doesn't normally happen in the Zoe versus Twisted Fate matchup. Normally, you have so much control that it's actually difficult for the TF to step forward. In any case, that means that Cryin has already started to move up towards the top side. Doesn't have level 6 just yet, but the threat of a dive onto Fudge is real. Fudge has just hit level 6. So has Wei. Let's see what happens as a result of this. That's a big wave stacked up for RNG.
That's one plate down as well. Wei might just use the Equalizer to try and force Fudge away. Dives forward with the Sonic Wave. Fudge does still have a flash. Here comes Cryin, Destiny in. Fudge, no wave there. Poorly timed by RNG. Perkz TP's in as well to force RNG away, but RNG looked for that dive when the wave had already been cleared out. And because of that, C9 know the enemy jungle is on the top side. Oh, Dragon resets a little bit. Should be able to get it, but RNG do not want to give it up without a fight. Ming stepping in, the Dragon secured. Vulcan low. Feathers come back with the Blade Caller. Vulcan ticking down with the Ignite, has no flash. And RNG will get on the board.
Okay, so I think in the straight 2v2, Cloud9 could have won that, but they saw that Wei and Cryin were in mid, and if they committed, they were probably going to end up losing out. So I think it was smart to just leave your supports to the Wolves, give over that kill in exchange for the Drake, because it could have ended up much worse than it ended up being. But as you rightly said, RNG tried to make a play up towards top side. I wasn't keeping track of Cryan's summoner spells. I'm not sure if he had another summoner spell or if his TP was on cooldown as to why he couldn't use it. But as you rightly said, he came to top lane far too late. Lee Sin E wave clear very fast, which means that Fudge was able to clear that one out, and then the TP response from Perkz. The fact that Perkz TP'd at the same time suggests to me that Cryan's TP just came off cooldown. And so, yeah, either it just came off cooldown, or they held on to it a little bit too long. In any case, RNG are not able to find a successful kill top, and Perkz and Fudge are making their way into the enemy jungle. Blabber's right behind.
Oh, that's a bit unfortunate. Sleepy Chopper Bubble would have hit if Wei hadn't harpooned the Razor Beaks. However, Wei is forced out of his jungle. Will not get the spawn of his Razor Beaks. Blabber will take them, and Perkz with control of the mid lane is able to work with his team. Vulcan comes across, catches the wave, will hold this for Perkz so he can keep building that slight CS lead he has in the mid lane. Did miss the first minion, but he gets the second, so that is all well and good. However, because of that, Vulcan being away from his lane, Sven now has to step back, has really been playing on the weak side of the map for the majority of this game, and because of it, has lost a plate. Wei is down here as well, but Vulcan is just going to step forward and ward it as Blabber, understanding that Wei is on the bot side of the map, has started up the Rift Herald.
All in all, though,
Really good start.
chilling, you know what I mean? Right, so if we have an opportunity to look at the gold, we can see that probably there's an advantage for Xiaohu in top lane. Even though he died, he has a huge CS advantage. Advantage in bot lane as well, because of the plates that Gala was able to get. So, yes, the gold is even, but what's important here is that Cloud9 is able to find some momentum. That's good damage from Fudge. He's not going to overcommit for that, though. He's just going to use that as a point of pressure to set up maybe even a dive, because that's a stacked wave. Cryin, though, going to respond. Is he not? Oh, wait.
Lots of pings came down.
Do they know? Does he know that he knows?
I don't think Cryin knows, because Blabber's on the chase. Sleepy Trouble Bubble goes a little bit wide as Cryin does flash over it.
Blabber was basing, he turned his head, and then he just kind of looked at him. Cryin had no idea how close Blabber actually was. But he ends up getting away. Cost him his flash, and now RNG on the response.
Gold card locked in here for Cryin. Great ultimate there. Blabber with the Stormbringer to get himself to safety through the hook.
Nicely done. RNG, though, not slowing down on the map, looking for plays wherever they can find them. And now the gold has equalized. So we're kind of in a neutral state, but C9 are not at an early deficit. Now, admittedly, against some of these top teams, they've been in this position before. Against RNG, they were at a massive early game deficit. Yeah. That was the Lee Sin game.
Wait.
No, it wasn't. It was the
I don't know what you're looking for.
Why can't I remember? Lucian!
Okay.
It was the Lucian game. Because they had the Malphite top, and then they played heavily through top, and then they tried to, and then they took that tower extremely quickly at 10 minutes. I had Lee Sin stuck in my head, and I was, anyway, Lucian. That was the Lucian game top from Xiaohu. And then, of course, that was where C9 got that huge teamfight ace. Yep. And they were waiting because they were coming out ahead in the teamfights. This time, though, they're keeping the gold even in the mid game. And I would say that their team fighting is a little bit stronger, I think, just because I think that Twisted Fate isn't the strongest team fight tool. You're playing very much around your cooldowns, but you could say the same thing a little bit about a Zoe. It very much depends on kind of what crowd control lands, what skill shot ends up hitting from the side of the Zoe. But I think these fights are going to be exciting, for sure, because we saw Fudge did have a fantastic performance the last time, really kept a lot of those fights very, very close. Not that game, different game, because Fudge was not on the Lee Sin.
That was against Damwon here.
That was against Damwon, yeah. My point is, C9 fight good, okay? That's what I mean. And I'm excited to watch them fight, because they're in an even gold state.
I've enjoyed this descent into madness, but let's get back
My
to
words just not coming out.
Blabber's going to clear out the control ward and get this Scuttle Crab. Vulcan has done a really good job of roaming up and helping out Perks and helping out Blabber whenever they've needed it. Sleeper Trouble Bubble, sidestepped here, Vulcan. Doesn't quite connect with the Zenith Blade either. Blabber has got that topside Scuttle, and in 10 seconds, there's a Dragon available for them. Of course, Blabber still has the Rift Herald, can chuck it down here and use that pressure to then roam down towards the bottom river with his mid laner, with his support, and gain control as a cohesive 3-man unit. They will make sure the Rift Herald charges first, of course, because you want that plate gold, but then they can work their way down towards that bot side river and look at securing their second Dragon of the game.
Perks wanted to try and get some of that gold, but with the Nautilus stepping up, Perks couldn't quite get close enough, which means that Blabber's going to be the benefactor of all that turret plate money. And once again, Cloud9 have reclaimed the gold lead ever so slightly.
There's a tiny window here where Perks doesn't have TP, well, he does have TP, but he has to join late. Double TP coming from C9, Vulcan low, but he pops the stopwatch, and here comes Fudge. Kick onto Wei, drives in onto the backline, Fudge takes one, and Fudge with a perfect TP flank gets the double and wins the fight for Cloud9. Xiaohu's going to try and survive here. He's got the flash, but there are 3 players chasing him down. Cloud9 set that up beautifully.
What do I say, Medic? Cloud9, team fight good.
They fight the good.
Team fight good. Beautifully played from Cloud9, and they had the double TP, and I think the reset from Perks was so important because he was able to spend his money, then come back into the fray. Vulcan, the stopwatch was so clutch because you think that he's just going to get melted right off the bat, but he actually buys so much time for his team that they're able to re-engage. Fudge arrives, and then the team fight goes in favor of C9. They should be able to get this
doesn't have smite, or he just gets it. He is going to die for this. Secures the second Dragon of the game for his team.
Probably should have helped him a little bit there.
Maybe a tad.
But when we get into the replay, we can have a look back at how C9 actually came out ahead in that fight. They're now up in Drakes, they're up in kills, they're up in gold, and C9 is looking fantastic in this early game.
Honestly, I just can't praise Fudge enough. Like, he came into the season, he had such a poor lock-in performance, and he continues to impress. Here, trying to escape from the Destiny Crine, has locked in the gold card. Fudge doesn't really have anywhere to go. Xiao, who's going to dive onto him, and maybe a little bit of a caster curse there, as Fudge will get shut down, but he delayed for as long as possible.
RNG immediately back out on the map. They get the kill onto Blabber, they get the kill onto Fudge. Now they're 3-man bots. And you can see Sven is hesitant.
He's got flash. Vulcan does not have flash, importantly. W does come out, as you say.
We'll spot that one out. You can see how close the gold is across the board, though. Sven and Gala practically
Actually, just
even.
perfect. Yeah, it's perfectly matched.
Yep.
Sven got a single CS to...
But the big difference, Blabber and Wei. That's really where the difference has come from. And huge props to Blabber. He now has his eyes set on Xiaohu. No flash.
Xiaohu has no flash, as you say. Perks coming in, misses the paddle star just to the side, but Blabber will secure the kill. A solo bolo for the Bear.
Blabber's feeling it this game. He had enough of the criticism. He was tired of playing standard jungle. Instead, he's all about ganking, all about making plays. So here we can see RNG collapsing into the river. The flash in, the hook does land onto the volley bear, and then Vulcan soaking up a lot of damage. Here's the stopwatch. The ulti land through. Don't have time because we're back in the game.
Solar Flare onto Crane, pops a stopwatch of his own. Now he does have flash, but where's he gonna go? Nowhere is the answer. Equalizer from Wei just to clear out the wave. Cloud9 readiest, 9 kills to 4 up. 2 dragons to 0 up. Last time they played against RNG, at this point, they were 2,000 gold behind. Now they are 2,000 gold ahead.
Vulcan and Blabber, man, they're just moving around the map. They are getting busy. Looking for plays, looking to get aggressive, and they're finding them. They're finding pick after pick. They're going to extend the gold into 2K again. Blabber has not lost an objective. And this is the Blabber that all NA fans were looking for. He's been criticized heavily throughout this tournament, but he may have the performance that can take a win over RNG and keep the hopes of getting out of groups alive. The percentage of scenarios are low, Medic, but a win here would be massive.
It's so big because you're beating a team that other teams are not winning against. Only PSG have beaten RNG so far, and they did do it with this sort of style. Aggressive early game, lots of skirmishes, put RNG on the back foot, but then you have to keep the snowball rolling, and that's what we're looking for C9 here. Last time they gained a lead, RNG were able to eke it back. They then got a good team fight. They need to keep that momentum going if they're going to close out this game.
Importantly as well, Gala is not on Kai'Sa.
Yep.
When they came back earlier in the day, he was on a champion that he has a lot of comfort on and a lot of success with domestically. And now he's playing the Xayah now. That doesn't mean that he's a bad Xayah by any means, but...
Minion wave arrives at the wrong time here for Perks.
We'll see if that Xayah pick makes it harder for him to have the same carry performances as he does on the Kai'Sa, because when RNG is in this kind of a deficit, my eyes generally fall on to him as the kind of player that will step up, make plays, and win out on those team fights for RNG.
For the moment, though, C9 very happy with this state of affairs. You can see Sven alongside Vulcan off towards this top side, looking to take their first tower of the game. There is still a Rift Herald in Blabber's back pocket. He can use that to crack open that mid lane tower, which suffered a charge to the Rift Herald's sister earlier on in the game. And with a minute on the Mountain Drake, I assume that's where it will be spawned for Cloud9. RNG do have control of this bottom side of the jungle. Fudge needs to be just that little bit more careful. Takes a relatively safe path, but Cryin here pops the gold card. There's the equalizer. Fudge dives away. Stride Breaker and the Safeguard will get himself to safety, and the Rift Herald's now been put down mid by C9.
This is huge because 4 members of RNG were bots, which means that C9 can do more than just take this mid tier 1. They can actually push into the enemy jungle, get all of that vision control, set up for the next Drake as well, and push it up all the way up towards the tier 2. I think this is just a really good punish from C9 and a big overcommitment from RNG, because if they did get that pick on the Fudge, then Drake becomes a very easy contest for them. However, by not being able to find it, now that control is immediately given over to Cloud9.
Fudge is just having such a great MSI so far. 4-1-1 on the Lee Sin right now. 700 gold ahead or so. And C9 with a 2,500 gold lead at the 18-minute mark. As you said earlier, not many scenarios had them coming out. I think it was about 5% of all scenarios at the start of the day, but a win here will shoot that to the moon. And Cloud9, well, I'll be saying a few prayers. And amen, you have to think. for the LCS representatives. The Paddle Star hits, the Dragon Beam started. This is the third of the game. Cloud9, they are in control of basically everywhere on the map. Only that top lane, really. RNG have the push in right now.
RNG have been cross-mapping across the board. It's how they've kind of kept the gold even for a while. You can see, once again, only back down to about 1.5k gold difference. They've done a really good job of getting themselves early plates and trying to maintain control over these side lane towers. It was funny, Kedro mentioned it earlier, when RNG played against PSG, PSG held on to their mid tier 1 for a long time, but they lost tier 2 bot, tier 2 top because of how well RNG play through side lanes. And this is a very conventional style for them. I don't think that they're well known domestically for their crazy team fighting, even though they did have some in playoffs. It was a lot more about their objective control, about how they manage sideways, about their smart macro play. And while their approach to the game is a little bit different to that of Damwon, it is definitely still terrifying to deal with, as while all those side lane shenanigans are happening, Gala is silently farming up, silently building into that terror that he often is in so many team fights for this RNG squad. So C9 looking good, looking confident, but it's too early to get optimistic just yet because they've had leads against teams before. Hell, they had a lead against Damwon. And then slowly but surely, Damwon climbed back. The question is, can RNG do the same like they already did earlier in the day? Right now, it's looking good. And C9 setting up vision control around the Baron. I'm not expecting them to rush this early. They have a relatively decent Baron take, but not the fastest. Definitely not fast enough that RNG couldn't respond in time. And for now, it's just the ping pong of waves, the battle of wards. Who has information on who, and is someone overstepping? A single pick could swing that into a Baron.
You see Cloud9 will gain control of the Scuttle Crab as well. Fudge, after pushing in the bottom lane, it starts to work his way up towards mid and then realizes he is not required. His services are not needed, so he'll work his way back towards the bottom lane. Would love to see him try and get that tier 1 down there, but of course you can't overpush, you can't overextend against a Twisted Fate, because in a moment, in a breath, you are surrounded by the enemy team. That Destiny can be so deadly when you try and play out a map state like this.
I want to also highlight Blabber going for the Zhonya's Hourglass. Yeah. He's about to complete it as well. So he's going to have that the extra bit of durability. The AP scaling on this champion is actually quite good.
I mean, Riftmaker Volibear was a build for a while in top lane.
Yes, it was. So I like the Zhonya's. Give the team a little bit more durability, a little bit more stalling power. We'll see how it plays out as the fights are soon to come. Drake spawns in 2.5 minutes.
I feel like these fights are just, they're always on the horizon. We've had one really cool fight.
Well, RNG don't want to fight anymore, you know? But RNG's very good at that. You know what? No. We will meet you later when we are ready. Until then, have a good day.
Have a cuppa, get a biscuit.
Yep. Guys, if you want a beverage, now's your opportunity to get it.
Yeah, you've got a minute, 50 seconds.
You've got a minute, 50 seconds.
Okay.
Need a quick bathroom break, beverage, grab a snack. Now's your opportunity, because that is when hell is going to break loose. Level 13 now for both AD carries, 13 for both mids. Small level advantage for Blabber and for Fudge. You imagine that those will be closed as the next Drake spawn. 2 items completed for the vast majority of players as well. We're building up for that epic team fight, and remember, Cloud9, team fight. Good.
They do it well. Good. They do it well. And of course, it's a great soul for Cloud9 if they can get it as well. Mountain Soul into quite a bit of poke on the side of RNG in the form of, you know, wild cards and the accelerated shot blast and even the equalizer. Get that extra shield. Really helps you stay healthy at the start of a fight. Gold still only about 1,000 to 1,200 between these two teams, but we are seeing second completed items basically across the board here. Crying with the rapid fire. You've got the Essence Reaver on Gala. You've got Collector on Sven, knowing that RNG are quite squishy. You know, you don't have a big tank that you have to work your way through, so the Collector gives you just that little bit extra burst damage that could be needed to finalize a kill on an opponent. Vision really in favor of RNG in this river right now. We've still got 40 seconds before the Dragon comes up, and you can see C9 slowly working their way in. They've got 4 control wards in their inventories and the faster alterations. Perks just pushed in mid, pushed in top.
Making his way down to mid. He does have the cleanse right now. Cryan has the ghost. Fudge looking for it.
Wei has to flash away. Ming jumped on here by Blabber. That's the flash out as well, but Cryin has a really good flank position. There's the equalizer. The shield, the locket. Sven still alive. Ming goes to sleep. Perks goes forward. Solar Flare down towards the bottom side of the fight, and everyone disengages for the moment.
Every engage tool from Cloud9 has been used, and RNG has just disengaged. Gala still has ult, Ming still has ult, so does Fudge, and so does Sven. Perks looking for what picks he can, but RNG currently have the mid wave. Here comes a flash from Vulcan.
Flash away from Xiaohu. Featherstorm. There's the stopwatch. Fudge has the flash kick. Dragon's Rage, he gets in! He gets Gala! And the Killer Instinct Collector combo! What's a god to Fudge? A beautiful secure on that kill. Sleepy Trouble Bubble's gonna land as well as they look for the chase here onto Cryin. It's just a paddle star. RNG running for the hills as Blabber steps in. And RNG will be pushed back. Cloud9 will secure the soul.
The start of that fight did not look great for Cloud9, but Fudge comes up clutch. And now
Wei's just dead.
Gets himself the one shot. The bubble's going to look for Xiaohu, and it's Fudge that finds it.
Onto the blast, only gets onto the backline. He will be killed off by Cryin, who has to flash. Maybe a little greedy there from Fudge. He was feeling himself.
But they get themselves the Mountain Soul. They hold on to the 3K gold lead, and C9 are looking to make the comeback a reality. Taking down RNG could be huge for them qualifying for the semi-finals. The momentum swing that they need to get back in form and get into a position for those best of fives. So much credit has to be given to Blabber for his fantastic early game. Vulcan has been coming up clutch in the mid. And then it was Fudge in that fight that made the play, that got the pick onto Gala, that allowed them to win out in the end. So let's have a look initially. You can see Strike Breaker come through from Fudge, doesn't quite land the CC. Blabber flashes in onto Ming, he has the Aftershock, and then this flank from Cryin forces the flash out from Sven, and you're like, oh wow, C9 actually can't get the fight that they want. So RNG's just reposturing, getting in a position to then contest for the next Drake, but then C9 sees it at window. 3 versus 5, they can go for this play. Gala's forced to use his ultimate very early, and then look at this play from Fudge. He's going to use the Q, Warthog, flash, kick,
it's
man!
so good!
Beautiful! That is what we want to be seeing from Fudge.
And that's the reason the Collector's so important as well. That extra burst damage, man.
So well played. You can feel the hype from Cloud9. You can feel the hype from the NA fans. Mountain Soul. This is the best position they've really been in against a top team. One of the favorites for the tournament. And now they need to start playing for the Baron, getting control up towards the top side vision. They have the top wave pushed in. They have the beginning of the vision being set up. It's all about those control wards. And now they're starting off the objective. This is it, Cloud9. Patience is crucial here.
No flashes anywhere, Bedius. If you are caught, you are down. Baron down to 7,000. There's the Destiny. Perks lands the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, manages to get away. Wei looking to get in from the back here, but Fudge is going to kick him away, and that Baron is secured. Cloud9 will get it. RNG now on the ropes, on the run, and walking back towards that bounty, but Sven is having none of it. He dives in, the Stormbringer from Blabber as well, and Gala's popped the Feather Storm, but Wei is already down. So is Ming, and Cloud9 can sense it. They can see the victory across the horizon. They take down 3, they take the Baron, and Cloud9 are pushing for the win.
They may very well look to end the game right now. As you rightly said, Medic, they have the Baron buff. They have all 5 members alive. Oh, it looks like Fudge has the TP too. He's going to reset. He's then going to tank up one of the minions. Oh no, he's not. Okay, never mind.
They're back away.
They're actually going to choose to disengage here. Okay, then I think the TP was a bit of a waste. I got a little overexcited for nothing. But great team fight from Cloud9 once again. I love that decisiveness. They were like, we have more than enough vision. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. And they're able to melt through the objective. RNG have no answer. 6K gold lead now for Cloud9. And again, this win wasn't needed, but it is very, very helpful when it comes to qualifying for the semi-finals. And let's just look back at the engage. Sven says, you know what? I want to be on the highlight reel too. Chunks out Cryin. Gala once again forced to use his ultimate initially very early on, but the front line of RNG just disappears. Xiaohu can't do anything, and RNG don't get the opportunity to play on the side lanes. They are forced into these 5v5s. They are getting outplayed. They are getting outfought. And look at the smile on Fudge's face. Just an excellent team effort all across the board. Beginning was Blabber, mid-game was Vulcan, the fights were Fudge. Cloud9 really stepping up.
And they've so far got 4,000 gold out of this Red Bull Baron power play. Still a minute left on it. Mid lane inhibitor down. Crying pushing out the top wave. Will be met by Perks. Gala's going to catch these minions in the mid lane. He has got 3 items now on this Xayah, but Cloud9 are 7,000 gold ahead. And I know so many NA fans said a prayer with little hope at the start of the day, wondering perhaps if you could find a win here or there, maybe beat PSG, but you are taking down tournament favorites. And you are doing it in style. The inhibitor, tower, now the target. Cloud9 with Baron buff will continue to push in. Look at Gala, he has to go back. He has to retreat. In the face of C9, he is forced to the fountain. Perks going in, another paddle star. You just can't dodge him, he just doesn't miss on this Zoe. He goes in, just dodges wide Xiaohu, and now the inhibitor will be next. Cloud9, unrelenting, continuing the pressure, continuing to force RNG between a rock and a hard place. What decision do you make? Do you engage? Do you go for it? Cloud9 are not giving you a moment to breathe, they're not giving you a moment to think as they look to the Nexus towers. First one almost down. Cloud9 back away just a little bit, just a smidge, just a tad, as they see if RNG will take the bait, will go in. Fudge has the flash kick available. Watch him in this fight. There's the equalizer just to clear out the minion wave more than anything. Vulcan stunned up. Ming will not go in for the hook, but Blabber's going to engage. Featherstorm coming out. Blabber pulls the stopwatch underneath the Nexus towers. Ming forced away as well, and here goes Fudge onto the back line. Stormbringer disables the towers, and RNG all survive, get back to the fountain. One tower goes down, Crying looking for the flank, but once again a sonic wave hits him as soon as he comes up. Crying almost down, he's walking away. Vulcan goes in with the Zenith blade, that's 2. Ming down, and now we can see C9. They will take the win, they will take down the LPL, and they will continue to give hope to every LCS fan out there. Cloud9 are making their way. In the fights, just beautifully played from Cloud9. With performances like this, they can make the run happen, and it makes that C9 versus Mad matchup all the more important. Oh, it makes it so spicy. It's all going to come down to that. We know it. Before our post-match of C9 versus RNG, let's find out how Cloud9 choose their team anthem.